Welcome back to 10 Seconds Endless Learning. Today, we are breaking down the specific mechanisms that allow life to sustain itself generation after generation in NCERT Chapter 11. Every organism has a definite lifespan. A mature mango tree eventually grows old and dies, but its seeds sprout into new plants. Cows give birth to calves. This biological process of producing new individuals of the same kind is reproduction. It is the exact mechanism that ensures life on Earth continues to exist. But why does a farmer choose one specific method to grow crops, while humans and complex animals reproduce entirely differently than simple microbes? To understand this, we have to look at the exact strategies organisms use to pass on their genetic material. Think of asexual reproduction like a biological photocopy machine. A single parent produces offspring without any mixing of traits. Because only one set of chromosomes is involved, the result is a genetically identical clone. We see this directly in agriculture through vegetative propagation. If you take a cutting from a rose stem at an angle, or bury a flexible lemon twig in the soil, a technique known as layering, new roots and shoots sprout directly from the vegetative parts of the plant. Grafting pushes this concept further. You can insert a stem from a desired variety, like a yellow rose, into a slit on a healthy, rooted base plant. Wrapping the wound protects it from pests, allowing the two pieces to heal together into one functioning, identical plant. These asexual techniques allow farmers to mass-produce desirable crops rapidly. Institutions like the Indian Council of Agricultural Research teach farmers to use these methods alongside tissue culture, yielding thousands of healthy, virus-free plants from a single shoot tip. Simple organisms rely on similar rapid duplication. When yeast becomes active in a warm sugar solution, small round outgrowths emerge from the parent cells. This process is called budding. It is also used by multicellular animals like the hydra, where a small bud grows and eventually separates to live independently. If you leave moist bread in a warm, dark place, you'll soon see fuzzy black patches. Fungi reproduce by forming millions of lightweight, single-celled spores. They float on air currents until they land on moisture and nutrients, where they germinate rapidly. People once believed these microorganisms appeared spontaneously from non-living matter. Louis Pasteur proved through his germ theory that new life always comes from pre-existing life, and demonstrated that lowering temperatures halts their reproduction. This is exactly why we refrigerate perishable food, to slow fungal growth. However, rapid spore formation also has massive benefits. Fungi quickly degrade organic waste, and their mass reproduction allows us to harvest antibiotics, like penicillin, to fight bacterial infections. While asexual reproduction creates clones, sexual reproduction mixes genetic material from two parents. A special cell division called meiosis cuts the parent's chromosome number in half to form gametes. When these gametes combine, the traits mix randomly, creating genetic variation that helps species adapt to changing environments. In flowering plants, this process happens right inside the petals. The male reproductive part is the stamen, featuring an anther that produces pollen. The female part is the pistil, which includes the sticky stigma at the top, a long style, and a swollen ovary at the base containing egg cells. For reproduction to occur, pollen must travel from the anther to the stigma. This transfer is pollination. It can happen within the same flower, known as self-pollination, or agents like wind, water, and insects can carry the pollen to an entirely different plant for cross-pollination. This chart compares pollination strategies. Wind-pollinated plants like maize have to release up to 1 million lightweight pollen grains per flower, relying on chance to hit a stigma. Insect-pollinated plants produce far fewer grains because bees and butterflies deliver the sticky pollen directly to the target. Once a compatible pollen grain lands on the stigma, it sprouts a pollen tube. The male gamete travels down this tube into the ovary and fuses with the egg. After this fertilization, the ovules develop into seeds, and the surrounding ovary swells to become the fruit. Animals face the exact same biological challenge, ensuring male and female gametes meet. Aquatic animals like frogs and most fish rely on external fertilization, releasing eggs and sperm into the water. Reptiles, birds, and mammals use internal fertilization inside the female's body. Looking at this data, the evolutionary trade-off is clear. Frogs release up to 50,000 eggs at a time because water currents and predators destroy most of them. Mammals produce very few eggs because internal fertilization and bodily development offer high protection and a much better survival rate. Development also depends heavily on nutrition. Insects produce eggs with limited yolk. Because the nutrients run out quickly, they hatch early into an intermediate feeding stage called a larva. This larva must eat and grow significantly before transforming into a mature adult. In humans, the anatomy is highly specialized. The male reproductive system produces sperm inside the testes, which sit in a pouch called the scrotum to maintain the cooler temperature needed for sperm formation. From there, sperm travel through the vas deferens, gather nourishing fluids from glands, and exit through the urethra. The female system centers around a pair of ovaries. From puberty, one ovary releases a mature egg every month. This egg travels down the fallopian tube, or oviduct, towards the uterus, a muscular structure where a fetus can safely develop. The gametes themselves look completely different. Males produce millions of tiny, highly active sperm, equipped with tails for swimming. Females produce a single large, nutrient-rich egg that relies on the reproductive tract to move. If a sperm reaches the oviduct and fuses with the egg, human fertilization occurs. The 23 chromosome cells merge to form a 46 chromosome zygote. This single cell begins dividing, travels down to implant in the uterine lining, and initiates a pregnancy. Doctors use this exact fusion principle outside the body during in vitro fertilization. If the egg is not fertilized, the body's preparations are discarded. The thick, blood-rich lining of the uterus breaks down and sheds through the vagina. This process is menstruation, and the cycle of building and shedding repeats approximately every 28 days. When fertilization does occur, biological sex is determined instantly. A mother's egg always carries an X chromosome. The father's sperm carries either an X or a Y. The specific sperm that reaches the egg dictates whether the baby will develop with XX or XY chromosomes. Human pregnancy spans 3 trimesters over 9 months. The fetus grows rapidly, requiring the mother to have a balanced diet and regular medical care. Across India, community health workers support this critical period, tracking maternal well-being, safe deliveries, and essential post-birth care like breastfeeding. As we grow for adolescence, the body undergoes a gradual physical transformation called sexual maturation. While the reproductive system becomes functional during this stage, developing the emotional maturity required for adult relationships takes much longer. Because physical contact can transmit infections like HIV or syphilis, using barrier methods, such as condoms, is a critical step in preventing the spread of these STIs. To prevent unwanted pregnancies, families use contraceptives ranging from copper T devices to safe, non-hormonal oral pills developed by scientists here in India. Family planning ensures children are born into supported environments, and to maintain a healthy societal balance, prenatal sex determination remains strictly prohibited by law. Let's quickly recap. We've mapped how simple organisms and agriculture rely on asexual cloning, how plants use flowers and pollination to mix traits and produce seeds, and how human reproduction depends on highly specialized anatomy to unite gametes and sustain a pregnancy. Now it's your turn to test your memory. In the human body, where exactly does fertilization take place? Is it A, the ovary, B, the fallopian tube, or C, the uterus? Drop your answer in the comments below. If you found this helpful, hit like, share with your classmates, and subscribe to 10 Seconds Endless Learning for more. See you next chapter.